My God, I am incredibly loaded down with technology now. Okay, how many people here know that IBM used to sell Smalltalk? Oh, cool. How many people know that they don't anymore? Same people. Okay. My name's John O'Keefe, and I work for a company called Instantiations. That's what my shirt says. And we have a product called VA Smalltalk, which used to be sold by IBM. And so I'm going to, the title of the talk is VA Smalltalk Update, but I'm going to divert a little bit from that subject and talk about the company, because this is the first year that anybody from Instantiations has been here. And technology. Maybe that's better. And so I want to let you know a little bit about our company. So first, the rebirth of Instantiations. Instantiations has been doing Smalltalk for a number of years. They were in the business of providing development tool add-ons for IBM's Visual Age Smalltalk, as well as a number of other IBM Smalltalk-based products. And the company was quite successful doing that. And a few years ago, about 5 years ago now, IBM decided that they weren't interested in Smalltalk anymore. IBM's a big company. Smalltalk, as we know, is kind of a small group, and it just didn't make sense for IBM to do it anymore. So they approached Instantiations and actually licensed the entire product to Instantiations. And at that time, I left IBM because I was the lead architect at IBM for the Visual Age Smalltalk product. So after 40 years, I left IBM, went to work for Instantiations, and the Instantiations grew because of licensing Smalltalk. And at the same time, sort of in the same time period, Instantiations realized that they had these really great tools for Smalltalk, and they could kind of build on it by reworking them for Java and supplying essentially the same set of tools for Java. And they did that, and they grew some more. And then they did them again for Eclipse, and they grew some more. And then the good thing happened as far as those of us who do Smalltalk are concerned, because Google got very interested in those tools, and they bought the entire Java side of Instantiations on August 4th of this year. And those of us who did Smalltalk took our money, stayed working for Instantiations, invested in the company, and now we're a pure Smalltalk company. We have no more interest in Java, no more debates within the company about funding Java versus Smalltalk. So VA Smalltalk is us now, and we do nothing else. So a number of things have happened since then that I think are good now that we have this focus on Smalltalk. We redid our website. It doesn't say anything about Java anymore. Good. Well, actually, I have to tell you, if you go to the website, there on the right sidebar, there will be a little link that says, if you're looking for our Java tools, click here and we'll take you to Google. So, now what else is going on? Well, we're growing our engineering staff. And this is really exciting for us, because actually this is the first time that we've grown the staff since I joined the company. We've hired one person. We're looking for more. We're also involved in university outreach. I've been interested in this for a couple years, since I talked to some students from the Hasso-Plattner Institute at the University of Potsdam at ESUG, I guess 2 years ago. And we now have reached out to them and proposed a bachelor's project, because their bachelor students have to engage in sort of an industry-sponsored project in order to complete their diploma. This is a kind of a one-year commitment on their part-time and then full-time. So we're working with them, and you'll see as I go through the presentation what they're doing with us. And once again, we're looking for other universities that we can work with to encourage students to become involved in Smalltalk and to learn about Smalltalk in enterprise level companies. You know, Faro and Squeak are great, and I love working with them myself. You know, I write in all different Smalltalks, but you know, when I go out to our customers, they tell me there's no Smalltalk developers available. And I go to universities and talk to the professors, and they say there's no Smalltalk jobs available. So there's this disconnect in the universe between you folks and the people who want to hire you, at least in our customer set. And one thing that Suzanne really pointed out to me, when we look at resumes, when our customers look at resumes and they see Faro and Squeak, they often don't know what those are. Or if they see Seaside, they don't associate Seaside with Smalltalk. So when you go out looking for employment, it's just important to say Faro, Smalltalk, Seaside, Smalltalk, because that really will be the entree into these enterprise level customers who are desperately looking for Smalltalk developers. Okay. The other thing we're doing is we're reaching out to our users. This is the first year that we've come to the Smalltalks conference. It won't be the last. I'll probably be here next year too. Hopefully we will have some more interesting things to say next year. I've been fascinated by some of the presentations that y'all have made this year. They're great. The other thing we're doing is we're responding to a long-standing customer request. We maintain the VA Smalltalk forum, which is a bulletin board for kind of community involvement in the product where they can ask questions. And our customers say, we really want a mailing list. We don't like this forum. We got to go look at it. We would rather you have a mailing list. So we're converting to use a Google group. We're going to sunset the forum, leave it, archive it for reference. So we will have a VA Smalltalk Google group, which will be aggregated on forum.world.smalltalk, just like all the other Smalltalks, and will be more part of the community now. Okay. Since I haven't been here before and told you, anything about VA Smalltalk, I thought that I would step back a little bit from where I usually start, which is, here's what we're doing right now, here's what the next thing that's coming out the door is, and tell you kind of what we've done since our version 8 product came out. As you can tell, if it's version 8, it's been around a while. The first release of Visual Age Smalltalk came out on OS 2 in 1992, I guess. And I was there. And I've been there ever since. Sometimes I think they keep me because I remember things. Sometimes very interesting things. Okay, so in May of 2009, we released our version 8 product, and this runs on, at that time, on Windows, AIX, Linux, Solaris, no OS2, just those. So this was our first implementation of a port of Seaside. It was Seaside 2.9 A3 at the time. And we had a pretty complete port. This was, we've had web services, which are kind of an important functionality in the enterprise community for some time, but we enhanced them in this release in order to be able to support what has become the most common web service sort of protocol. We enhanced our IDE, and I'll show you pictures of some of these things. And maybe I'll just hold that one till you see the picture. And we completely replaced the document delivery system. The document delivery system we had until then came with the product from IBM, and even IBM couldn't figure out how to update the documents. I was there, I know. So we completely replaced it. We migrated all the content, and now we're keeping the documentation right up to date. Okay, this is a browser. Happens to be a hierarchy browser from version 7.5, and the things to notice about it, I guess, are the buttons look kind of weird. They have these little borders around them, and everything is fairly modal. You have a button here, you press it, it changes from class to instance. You have a button on the right side for public, private, all methods. You have a button down at the bottom to show you whether there's notes or comments on the method or the class. So our customers said, why can't you do tabbed browsers? Why is it all so modal? Why can't we have something a little different? So that's what we did. And we turned that browser into this browser. So the buttons, this happens to be a Windows version. The buttons look native to Windows. The public, private, all is tabbed. Down here, you can see what's available. So this was a major step forward as far as our customers were concerned. Although, to me, it wasn't that big a deal. But our customer said, "Yeah, that's cool. We want more." So we gave them more. One of the things we did, in VA Smalltalk, our library system is called the Envy Manager. It's a proprietary code repository. It's not built on top of any database. The driver for it is very stupid. It knows how to read or write bytes at a file pointer. Everything else is in the image. The image knows what an application is, what a class is, what a method is, everything. Okay, so we version things. This is very much like releasing things into Monticello, and people get maybe a little confused about kind of what the history is, the history line of their versions. I mean, I know in Monticello you get some highlighting if you have a version there that doesn't include or isn't inherited from a previous version. We didn't do that. Instead, we provide them with this sort of a graphical display, and this can get much more complicated depending on how many times you've forked. Graphical display of the available versions of a class or an application. When I use the term application, that's kind of maps to a Squeaker Pharaoh package. Okay, so that was kind of cool. People like that. Then we did a bytecode browser. We'd never documented our bytecodes before. In fact, we haven't yet. But at least, with the browser, you can kind of figure out what they are if you care. There's people like Elliot and Richie and some people like that who really care about bytecodes. I care about bytecodes. Most people don't. So our documentation, boy, this is pretty ugly. This is the documentation that IBM used to produce. In a way, it's kind of similar to what a lot of documentation systems are. You have kind of a table of contents over here and some page content over there. You can't see the navigation on the content side here because it's off the bottom, but there were very limited capabilities for navigation. And we converted that into this. Kind of the same table of contents over here, but you can actually read it now. And you have a number of different navigation capabilities. You have breadcrumbs that you can use, or you have back and forth buttons at the top. You have the kind of arrows there indicate resyncing the table of contents with the content page you're showing. And you got a button up there in the corner with a little envelope that says, I don't like what's on this page. You've got a mistake here. Press that button. Email opens up. It's got the subject line is a reference to this particular page, and you can tell us what's wrong so we can fix it. Okay, so that was kind of cool. For 801, I'll say this now, I'm going to say it again later. Now, we've been kind of doing releases on a 6-month basis. So for 801, Seaside moved up. It got renumbered to 3.0. It's still alpha. Web services was enhanced further. We did more web browser enhancements. Support for Windows 7. In a Smalltalk system, memory allocation errors are one of the most difficult problems to solve. That is, either you've just run out of space, or at least the system thinks you've run out of space. You may not be out of space. It's just the system thinks you are, and that can be because your memory is corrupt, or you have a memory corruption that actually stores some random bytes of data on top of an object pointer, and when you garbage collect, you're dead. So we did some work in our virtual machine to detect some of these errors early, and while we can't recover from them, at least we're reporting better about what's going on. Once object pointers get stomped, life is over. And we have a framework called Server Smalltalk, SST, which is very popular in the enterprise accounts for developing server applications. And in fact, Seaside rests on top of this. So this is where things like HTTP support are. And we enhance that. We're always looking for hotspots in the code to improve. Last May, we did 802. Once again, we were up to Seaside 3.0 release candidate. This was our initial release of Glorp, of the port of Glorp. Glorp is still a work in progress. This was the initial release. We did some platform work, database work, class library enhancements to SUnit, and I'm going to talk about these actually in slightly more detail. Go past that one. Everybody knows Seaside here, I think. This was actually our very first Seaside application that a customer developed. And it was called Vast Goodies. It's still around. And I guess I would say it's the VA Smalltalk version of Squeak Source. So this is where Customers can contribute code. Developers can put their interesting things to share with the community. And it's been pretty popular. We have some people who actually have put a lot of stuff in here. And we had a conference in May when this came out, when this product came out, in Stuttgart, where MSK, you can see he has put a lot of stuff in here, got an award for being the most prolific provider of code here. And I'm going to come back to talking about this kind of near the end of the talk because it might be important to you. This was the very first commercial product developed with our Seaside framework. This was done by a company called National Sparse Font. They're a subsidiary of Delta Lloyd Group in Amsterdam, or outside Amsterdam. And they have continued to build more and more web content using Seaside. Right now, there's one caution. If you use our Seaside framework, which is Flow isn't supported right today. So if you downloaded version 8.02, Flow isn't supported. It means that you need to use an alternate coding style, and that coding style is described in the Seaside book, so that you don't need to use continuations, which is what Flow really is. Glorp. People here know what Glorp is? Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. Seems to be an increasingly popular object relational mapping framework. So we put the initial release in here, and we're continuing now to enhance it. And we will not have a significant enhancement in the next release, but there will be one in the release after. We added signed executables on Windows. On the Windows environment, signed executables is very important to some of our customers because their customers demand that their applications be Windows logo certified. And having signed executables, Unicode signed executables is one of the requirements for that. So all our executables now are signed, and that enhances the security, which is why people are concerned about it. It means that they know those executables come from us. We added power management. So now our GUI apps can respond to sleep and hibernate. If you close your laptop when Smalltalk is running, you open it up again, you're probably going to lose your connection to the manager, because sockets just don't survive real well over sleep and hibernate. So this gives you a protocol for gracefully recovering from that sort of issue in Smalltalk. Wrong direction. Oracle. We actually have a lot of customers that use Oracle very heavily. And they're very interested in new functionality that comes out in the releases of Oracle, and so we continue to update our Oracle support to try and reflect the new functionality that comes out and add support for it. The commercial Smalltalk products like VA Smalltalk, like VisualWorks, are not just an IDE and a language, but they contain frameworks to support communications, all different sorts of communications, databases, interfaces to .NET sort of applications. So it's kind of a huge package of which Oracle is just one part. We added method pragma support. I know that Squeak and Pharo and VisualWorks have supported this for a while, but we didn't. And As part of the Seaside port, we wanted to port Magritte and Peer, and so we needed method pragmas to do the annotation. So that was originally done for Peer, but it's also used in petty parser, and we're kind of interested in petty parser. It looks like it might be something that would be very useful to us. So now I'm glad we did it. So ANSI Smalltalk. A long time ago in a world far away, all the Smalltalk vendors and some big customers got together and decided there ought to be a standard. And they sat around for a long time and argued about what should be in it and whose version of what should be in there. And one of the things that this ANSI standard eventually came out with was a standard for exceptions. And they were class-based exceptions. Oh, too bad for us, because our exceptions weren't. They were instance-based. And we implemented the class-based exceptions, but initially they were totally separate. I mean, never the twain shall meet. You can signal a class-based exception. If you have an instance-based exception handler, it knows nothing about it, and vice versa. In IBM's version 6, IBM tried to kind of homogenize the two. It was me. And failed. Yeah, we had to punt. But time has gone on. Maybe I've gotten smarter. I don't know. Anyway, we've managed to do it now. So you can freely mix class-based, instance-based exceptions and exception handlers. And over time, we're building an entire class-side framework of exceptions that map our instance-side exceptions. So you'll be able to kind of mix and match. SUnit. SUnit's an open source project. We don't do it. We contribute to it, and we ship it. But Neil Ross is, who now works for Syncom, is the kind of the owner of this code. And we included version 4 in this release of VA Smalltalk, which added kind of just-in-time resource management. Resources in SUnit had always been a problem because you had to control setting them up and tearing them down. And the framework was now kind of enhanced, so they would be set up just in time and torn down in the reverse order, so everything kind of works well now. So that was a really cool thing that Neil did. We wrote, as I say, we have a new documentation system here, so we can write lots of books. So we just wrote books like crazy. But that's all in the past. Where are we going? So I said that our release schedule is twice a year, usually kind of May and November, partially because of this sort of spin-off of Java and the fact that we had to kind of rebuild our whole IT infrastructure based on that, new web pages and new bug control systems, new customer outreach facilities. We're probably going to be delayed to December to get this release out, and it's going to have less content than I would like, but it's going to have content. We'll have the real Seaside 3.0 in here. Continuations. I do this every time I give this presentation because hoping that it'll get done. We have a mechanism to internationalize text in the product. Well, actually, we have two. Dirty laundry way in past history. But we've never had a tool to actually let you kind of write your code, put the strings in the code, and then when the code's kind of finished, extract the strings and put them in the message catalog. Well, we've never had an external tool to do that, but we've had an internal tool since forever. And we thought it would be kind of cool, and we have a couple of customers who have tried it, who think it's kind of neat to be able to do this. So we're going to add that capability to the product. So what are our priority technologies? What are we working on? What are we interested in? Where are we going? This is kind of the list, and I'm not going to read down the list. Rather, I'm going to show you kind of a few items in each category. We have partial Unicode support. We don't have full support. So we have some translation in and out, but the Smalltalk system itself internally is still an 8-bit character system, single byte. The direction is to change that, to work with Unicode internally. As you can imagine, that's kind of a big deal. It hits the VM. It goes a lot of places and needs to be done very carefully. So we've been talking about it for a long time. Progress has been made, but we're not ready to release it yet. Web interface, we expect Seaside 3.1 to be out sometime next year, and we continue to participate in that open source activity. One of the things that our servlet support doesn't do is support multi-part forms, and we need that for file uploading. So that's going to be added pretty soon. And kind of some other things in the web interface area. GUI look and feel. I could show you I will show you at the end of the presentation our browsers on Linux. They stink. Okay, they look really ugly. They're motif-based. So we've been getting, people. We go to conferences, people say, it's so ugly on Linux, I can't even use it. And we say, okay, tell me how many licenses you're going to buy if we fix it. And the answer is always none. So it hasn't made it up the list. But we saw an opportunity to move up to GTK working with HPI, the Hasso-Plattner Institute. So the project that we're doing with them, and I was over there in early October, I guess, and spent most part of a week kind of kicking this project off with 7 students and their faculty advisors to do a GTK implementation. And this is one of the things that VA Smalltalk does is it provides native look and feel on a platform. The API to customer application is common, no matter what platform you're running on. The interface to the operating system is native. So on Windows, it looks like Windows. On Unix, it looks like Motif. On OS2, it used to look like Program Manager. Anyway, Windows Common Controls, we've wrapped some of them. We don't have all of them. We need to do more with icons and images. Our development tools can use some help. And one of the areas is in settings. We have settings all over the place and no sort of central way to manage them. So we're going to be doing a settings framework and a set of dialogues to update the settings. And we're kind of excited about that because sometimes we wonder if we even know where all the settings are. If anybody's used VA Smalltalk, our change browser also is not exactly state-of-the-art. So we have plans, we have a little design already done for how we're going to improve that. And one of my pet peeves is the fact that I'm the one who's been doing the Seaside port, and the way that was done was with something we call the package exporter. that runs in Squeak and files code out in a format that VA Smalltalk likes. Oh, what a pain. So we've actually got somebody already working on a Monticello importer so that we can take the packages right from Monticello. More work in Glorp. Security framework based on OpenSSL. We currently use that for our SSL support and communication, but we're going to make it a full-fledged security framework you can use anywhere. Some VM work. Anybody who's really good at VMs, we're looking for somebody here. We're hiring. We may even be interested in contracting because hiring outside the U.S. is extremely difficult. Blah blah blah. We're gonna finally improve our installers. I'm trying to convince our build team to actually go to commercial installers using, Install Shield and RPM. They haven't bought into that yet because we now have one written in Smalltalk. So, but I was talking to Suzanne last night about a guy who used to be our build manager, and his approach was, if it's complicated, it's better. If you make it more complicated, it's even better. So we have a build system that we have a little problem with. So those are kind of the areas that we're going to be working on. As I say, we've already increased the staff, and we're going to continue to do that. So maybe if you're interested in VA Smalltalk, you wonder, how can I get a copy? And the answer is, well, there's a number of ways. You can download an evaluation copy from our website. You have to register, but big deal. You can buy development licenses. We love that. They cost a little more than Faro. You can download development builds. Development builds are an experiment that we started for 801, where we do early releases of the code. They're not betas because they haven't been through kind of any of our really formal regression tests. They're really development builds that we've kind of sniffed and said, yeah, it's good enough. But the good thing about these is you can download them. They're available on an irregular basis. And we're keeping the documentation up to date. So the documentation that comes with it or that you can access from the web matches the development builds, which makes them easy to use. Oh, how about you want a free license? Not one of these evaluation things, but a free license that you don't have to pay for. Be a committer on an open source project. The rules don't say it has to be a VA Smalltalk open source project, but we'd like it to be. Oh, look, we're back to the VA Smalltalk goodies. Release something to VA Smalltalk goodies, even if it's like even a port of something from Squeak or Faro, or as far as I'm concerned, if you're doing something for Squeak or Faro, that's good enough. No charge, fully paid up license. You can go to our website and you'll find this information probably next week. It's there, but it's not linked to anything at this point. Or you can be an educational institution. Once again, teaching staff, students, no charge, paid up license. So we're happy to provide this to students and faculty who are teaching Smalltalk or using Smalltalk, or open source committers, people who are contributing to the community. This is one way we can give back. Okay, we have email addresses if you want information. info@instantiations.com. support if you were a user, and me, John O'Keefe. Okay, questions?
First, thank you for
Yeah, these, the talks that I do, unfortunately, are a little bit dry, and there's no bits, there's no bytes, there's no class diagrams, but it's a necessary evil.
I have a question.
Yes, Leandro.
You show this mail icon to people that find opportunity to improve the documentation. My question is, do people use that?
Yes, they do. Not a lot.
But some,
yeah, but we do get some feedback. People...
Because it's the documentation, people usually don't read documentation.
Yeah.
You have to provide it, but not everyone.
Yeah, but we encourage people to read the documentation, especially when they come in and ask us a question that we can say, it's on exactly that page. Here's the link to the page on our website. We're not going to answer it for you. We're just going to point you to it so that you can read it yourself. You saw, it's kind of a huge library of books. I mean, when it's in PDF, it stacks up like this. We don't do PDF anymore, mainly because the tool makes really ugly PDF. I mean, there's some people who like printed docs, me, because I can write on them.
Another question is, if you go back one slide.
One slide.
I think, no, not one more. This program, this computer and open source.
This one.
This one. Is a new thing, or is something you have from?
So it is something that Instantiations has been doing for some time, but I didn't know about it. They were doing it for Eclipse, and they forgot to tell us in the Smalltalk side of the business that they were doing it. So I found this out, I guess before ISUG last year, and I talked about it, a year ago in Brest, and I talked about it this year. I talk about it every opportunity I get because, I think this is a really good way for people to get a copy of the product. It costs nothing, except the time to answer a couple questions. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Are you planning something of multi-core support?
Multi-core support. So, there's different levels of multi-core support. We currently support threaded calls out, asynchronous calls, but not, the VM is single-threaded at the moment. I kind of whizzed past some of the VM work there. One of the things that we are seeing is we're seeing customers with really huge images, 1.5 gigabyte images, 2 gigabyte images. It's really painful to garbage collect those, and that's part of the reason they're so big, because they just allocate a huge old space in the hopes that they'll never have to garbage collect. But when they do, it's really painful. So we think we have an idea of how to do a threaded garbage collector, an incremental garbage collector. So that would be under the covers, as a Smalltalk image, you'd never see it. Turning processes from green thread processes to kind of real OS threaded processes is not so simple for you. It's probably harder for you than it is for us, actually, because it implies a lot of synchronization being done in the image to manage deadlocks and between these processes. So it's something we're looking at, but I think if you see threading support in our product, it'll first show up kind of embedded under the covers. Although I did just read something last week about something called Roar VM that actually IBM Research did that runs on Squeak, and I have yet to delve more fully into exactly what's going on in there. But I know the guys that did it. I used to work with them, and I'm going to find out and see if there's something there that we can maybe use. Okay. Other questions? Okay. Oh, yes, sir.
Are you supporting or planning to support the old packages about, for example, Domino or?
Yeah, we have support for notes. We still support notes.
And all the packages, all the DAS packages. The old packages that IBM supports, for example, for mainframe or...
So yeah, IBM used to have mainframe Smalltalk. I guess they still do for the next couple months anyway. And this Smalltalk was the development environment for that. We still support that. We support the communication protocols to mainframe like HPPC and Halapi for screen scraping. We support Domino Notes for mail, sort of document database. You can tell our kind of focus is on enterprise customers, not really interesting things. But unfortunately, for those of us who like to do really interesting things, it's the enterprise customers who are willing to pay my salary. And they tell us what we're going to do. Okay? Thank you very much. I'll be here through tomorrow if you have other questions.